Castles of Wales, some of the most majestic in all the kingdom. I mean, just use your eyes for Christ's sake. I'm not going to go on about it. Oh, yep, yes I am.
But now, these castles are crumbling, like a belligerent bourbon biscuit to the boiling tea of time.
So join me, gypsies, because together we'll be applying the 5 W's of journalism.
When were they built? Who knows when they were built? What time were they built? And why don't I know what time they were built? I'm Winona Ryder.
In this programme, together we shall Trojan horse this beauty of a castle, Cadwally Castle, nestled in the southern of Wales.
And tonight on Castles, we'll be going deep inside castles to find out what really is a castle. Hello. So Wales is famous for having more castles per square mile than any other country in this bloody world, this godforsaken world. So if you think you can go a square mile in Wales without seeing a castle, you've got another thing coming. And that thing's probably a castle.
And that's because Posington, there are over 400 castles in Wales. This castle, Cadwally Castle, is at least one of them.
So if you were to take the time between when this castle was built and when it exists as the here and now, that time would weigh literally nothing. But does that mean this castle's worthless? I don't really care. But what I do know is that castles, they're a staple of medieval wealth and strength. Because I heard that in a documentary.
At mostly Mosington, people tend to approach the castle from a southerly direction, where you can see this beautiful gatehouse and appreciate its massive erection. Starting construction in 1400s, it took over 100 years, or nearly a century, to complete.
Partly because they couldn't decide what door to use. They tried revolving doors, sliding doors, saloon doors for some reason. And in the end what they realised they needed was like an upside down cat flap and a big door that would go flip-bum-bum-dum-bum-bum, called a portcullis. This way. And a door of this size would have attracted many door-to-door salesmen in an era where they pretty much invented the cold caller, hence named because it was much colder back then, because you had to live in a castle.
At the top of the gatehouse, a murder hole used to be sick onto unwanted guests. At the bottom, a dungeon to keep those sick-covered guests, or just your pennies. Nowadays, it's guarded by the Black Guard of Cadwally.
And as we enter the castle through that beautiful gatehouse, it's almost like travelling back in time again, as we can see the different stages of the castle's development. And it was created in this fashion to form a concentric layer of defence, almost like a delicious medieval onion of war.
And obviously, there's a lot that we don't know, such as why does time exist, and who invented meaning. But what we do know is that when these castles were built, they were originally made from wood, known in medieval times as flatbuck. And then the Normans would come back and fortify them, almost a statue to commemorate that old wooden fort.
And rather than continually adding to this concentric layer of defence over the years, nowadays these castles are forced to just sit here really. And much unlike chess would have you believe, castles are notoriously immobile. Some would say that that's their greatest flaw. That and picking a fight with Mr. Old Man Time.
Everybody's going for those kinky boots, kinky boots.
Kinky boots, it's a manly kind of fashion that you borrow from the roots.
Borrowed from the boots. Kinky boots.
And even though at one point this castle would have been done up in beautiful whitewash, it would have had lead roofs and golden trims and even interior decorating. But nowadays the current owners have committed to just do it up just enough so it still looks like a relic. And in the following interview, we'll talk to a mason who says exactly that. Castles almost symbolise the lost engineers, really.
They do, they were very strong men. Yeah. You know, the thickness of things. because this castle was never taken, wasn't it?
It was taken by the Welsh before it was stormed, wasn't it? When it was.
And they came in through the main gate, but they never actually came into the castle.
Did they?
They never took the castle.
Really?
So what we do then is, can you see the stonework? We got to build back
Yeah.
as if the wall's fallen down.
Yeah. Okay.
To show for you to understand, well, that was the inside of the wall. That's what it would have looked like.
Yeah.
Face here.
We are exploring the castles of Wales.
So have you been mixing mortar today?
No, I haven't mixed it today because of the weather. They must have, when they built this, I reckon underneath it they must have used cement. Because as I'm trying to cut into it, I'll show you an example. Again, it's fairly coarse stuff, and you can see the lime bits, the old lime they must have used. And of course, trying to get this up, and I've been taking, more wall has been falling off. So we now will be putting lime back. Okay. They reckon lime is not quite so hard, well, it's not so hard as this hard cement.
I wanted to ask how the medieval masons managed to get the stones so high. So I just did, right?
It's almost like, I think the way I understand it, I could be wrong, almost like a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
There's two men in it, walking, and it wound.
That's it. The power of thousands of hamsters. They built all the castles. So why do you think it was so important to build Cadwelly Castle right by the river?
Because this part here, you've got this part of Wales, haven't you, right? This, every river's got it. Larne Castle, Steffan Castle, there's Cadwelly Castle. Then some people say there was a castle in Llanelli that vanished.
Oh, is that right?
And then the Slwchwr Castle, isn't it? Right over there.
Oh, right.
Yes, Slwchwr. Llachar.
Llachar Castle. Oh, right.
So the whole river, the whole stretch was guarded.
Yeah. Because that's how the Normans would have got in, basically.
So they reckon there was one in Llanelli, but it demolished and taken away.
Really?
Thank you very much for talking to me. So why, you might be wondering, were those Normans so hell-bent on fortifying that Welsh coastline? And why couldn't they just catch the X11 bus from Swansea?
So if you remember, when the Normans first invaded England, 1066, William spaffed out Harold's eye and it was over pretty quickly. Maybe a couple of years of revolts and England was theirs. But when they then tried to invade Wales, it's a different story. The Welsh just love a good fight. Also, their signs are really confusing.
And it was, of course, precisely because of this treacherous Welsh landscape that the Normans felt it very important to fortify the rivers. And those rivers could then be used to help create these beautiful castles. They would use the river silt and the water to create the mortar. The river was also important for transport, because any Uber would have taken over 100 years to show up, and the Normans didn't have that sort of time, or the app installed on their smartphone. As the Norman conquest of Wales started in 1100 and ended up lasting over 200 years.
And in 1081, William himself is even said to have had a good go at conquering Wales, like a bit of a legend. He's even said to have created Cardiff along the way, although he takes no credit for Tiger on a Saturday night. I'm also really sorry to be the one to tell you, but William the Conqueror has since passed away. History. Did it really happen? And if you decided that it probably did, when did you decide that? Was it in the past? Can you trust yourself even?
And as we start to wind up, wondering what gift we want from the souvenir shop of history, we naturally start to consider our own history and how we treat others. Perhaps a lesson is to be learned from this beautiful castle. A lesson about our own walls and letting people in once in a while.
So you're probably going to think I'm taking the mick, understandable, but in the few hours it's taken to make this video, understandably I lost track of time. I've been in the medieval era, give me a break. But it's about 10 minutes past the closing time. And I've just seen that they've locked me in. So yeah, I'm probably here all night. Thanks for watching Castles. Join me next time. I'll probably still be here. Hello! Hello! So yeah, looks like I'm spending the night. Hope it's not haunted. But to any of you watching at home, don't worry, sure it's not haunted. I've been here 500 years, just haven't seen anything weird happen at all. Wait a minute. No! Oh no! I think I figured out this is where I'm going to try to get over to the castle.
Castles, everybody loves a good castle. Castles, everybody knows they're really great. They've got a big gate and sometimes a moat. And I'm not gonna stand here and gloat about my castle, 'cause everybody loves a good castle. Castles, everybody knows they're really great.
Really high.
Really great.
No one's going to give me an Oscar for that, are they? That was my free solo.